Hello, I'm Simon Calder and you are welcome to Bermuda, which over the next 48 hours I hope to show you is a land of happy surprises. Now, the remnants of a volcanic cataclysm in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean might not sound like the venue for a perfect holiday, but nature has bestowed travellers with a green and pleasant land that for 4 centuries has been the gateway to the New World. Unless you have your own yacht, you'll arrive at L.F. Wade International Airport. The only European link is a non-stop flight from Gatwick, but there are frequent connections with North America, making it easy to combine Bermuda with a city such as New York or Toronto. There aren't many airports where you emerge to find blue sea and a pink bus. For 500 years, Bermuda has been a landmark in the North Atlantic, first for mariners, these days for airline pilots. It was christened by a Spanish captain, Juan de Bermudez, as he sailed past. And in 1609, Admiral Sir George Somers was shipwrecked here aboard the Sea Venture, perhaps starting a legend about the hazards of navigation in this part of the world. History, indulgence and a coastline punctuated by great beaches and warmed by the Gulf Stream, all in a country that's slightly smaller than the island of Manhattan. From my angle, Bermuda makes the ideal 48 hours. Bermuda isn't in the Caribbean, it's a long way north, which explains the benign climate. And it's not a single island, it's an archipelago made up of nearly 200 isles, some of them barely bigger than rocks. So where exactly am I? Well, to show you, I've brought along a triangle. Imagine New York here, the top of Florida here, well, go 900 miles from either, and here is beautiful Bermuda. And to understand the shape of this archipelago, you have to imagine a fish hook. You've got the airport round about here, the dockyard just here, and the capital, Hamilton, where I'm staying, right there. For a good combination of heritage, sophistication and value, the Rose Don delivers. It's basically a boutique hotel decanted into a stately home. It was built at the start of the 20th century and for more than half its life it's been a hotel, recently extended into the rather sumptuous grounds. A Swiss horticulturalist, Walter Hess, made quite a splash with these splendid subtropical grounds. Accommodation in Bermuda is never cheap in any sense. Standard rates here start at around £200 a night, but I booked my room as part of a package and the price came down to a very reasonable £100, including breakfast. But for somewhere with even more style, cross the road to the Fairmont Hamilton Princess, better known as the Pink Palace.
Welcome to Hamilton Princess, sir.
Thank you very much. Since 1885, the Pink Palace has been welcoming the rich, the famous and the intriguing. During the Second World War, it was the headquarters of the British Atlantic Intelligence. It's also where James Bond's creator, Ian Fleming, stayed. And here's another writer, Mark Twain. Of course, he and Fleming never stayed here at the same time. As the saying goes, never the twain shall meet. Sorry. Even if you're not staying here, it's well worth calling in one afternoon for tea. But if you do decide to stay here and you sign up for the Fairmont Gold package, then you get access to this Grand Salon, where you can take complimentary breakfast, afternoon tea, and you even get the services of your own butler.
Good afternoon, sir. We have your tea.
How lovely. $155. And this is why Hamilton is the capital city of Bermuda. I'm at the top of Holy Trinity Cathedral. To the north, after the King's abdication speech, Edward VIII and his bride, Wallis Simpson, took up residence here at the Governor's house when they were in charge of Bermuda. Looking to the east, you can just make out the flag marking Fort Hamilton, built to defend the city against attack from the land. To the south, one of the world's most magnificent harbours, dotted with beautiful islands, some of them still uninhabited. And looking west, well, in the far distance, perhaps that's America. Close up, it's my next port of call. City Hall, Hamilton, and the streets of Bermuda's capital are made for walking, but as with anywhere on Earth, it always helps to have a local guide.
Oh, yay! Welcome to the city of Hamilton, sir.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, Ed Christopher. Before the World Wide Web, before even newspapers, the way people found out what was going on was from
The town crier.
Where are you going to take me on this tour?
We're going to see some of the special sights of the city of Hamilton here, starting with the City Hall.
Thank you.
Behind the smart white facade of Hamilton City Hall is Bermuda's National Gallery, which opens at 10 every morning except Sunday and is happily free. And if you ask nicely, there's more to discover.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor, where members of the royal family and other dignitaries of the world come to meet the mayor.
And of course, our royal family is your royal family.
Yes, sir. We are British.
The Grand Italianate Sessions House is open to the public. Tours taking in the diminutive debating chamber are at 10:30 and 2:30 from Monday to Thursday.
So tell me about this place.
This is the Cabinet Building, where our Premier's main office is, as well as the heads of civil service.
So effectively, that's Westminster, this is Whitehall.
Yes, sir.
And there's even a cenotaph over there to the memory of the fallen.
Yes, sir.
So here's our last port of call.
Yes, sir. The Parish Post Office.
Okay, very good, thank you. So, as well as getting a stamp for your postcard, you can see a bit of history as well.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much indeed. If I may, Bermuda's very own Royal Mail.
Go with whatever you want. Thank you very much.
See you
Have a
later.
good day.
I'd like to post this to London if I may, thank you.
Okay, it's going to cost you 80 cents.
80 cents, that's a bargain. Thank you very much. In the tray, okay. And once all your postage issues are taken care of, then find your own perch in the garden of the Lemon Tree Cafe. Thank you.
Wrap and soup of the day.
Perfect. Thank you very much indeed. Here we are where the fusion cuisine, this is an Asian wrap, this is chili con carne, of Bermuda comes to the fore. Excuse me.
The Lemon Tree Cafe spreads out beneath the trees into the well-manicured Parlaville Park.
When the cruise ships arrive in Bermuda, Front Street here is thronged with shoppers looking for something unusual that you won't find anywhere else, such as the English sports shop. You won't even find this in England. And here is Chris Creamer, a real Englishman who I understand is
Good
going to
morning.
kit me out in true Bermudan fashion.
Good morning and welcome.
Thank you.
Let's see what we can do for you, Simon.
Can you just explain though, shorts, Bermuda shorts, what's all that about?
Comfort, practicality. They originated at the beginning of the last century. It was the British military were here. They decided it was too hot and humid, so they decided to take off their trousers at the knee, and thus the Bermuda shorts created.
So you can turn me into a Bermudian.
It will be my pleasure, Simon. Step this way.
Thank you.
Just while Chris is sorting out my wardrobe, I must let you into a secret. When John Lennon visited Bermuda in 1980, Chris fitted him with a suit in this very shop.
Chris, thank you. I haven't felt like this since I was in short trousers. But look, could I really go and meet the governor like this?
You certainly could. You're dressed top to toe perfectly, except for the shoes. You really need to make it a perfect outfit, a moccasin, or a nice casual shoe without the laces.
Before I decide, how much is this going to cost me?
All that for less than $300.
So £200 or so?
That's correct.
And no sales tax because we're in Bermuda.
Correct again.
Okay, I will let you know. Meanwhile, thank you very much indeed for making me feel so Bermudian.
Once again, my pleasure.
Suits me? Well, I'm not sure. But if you are a dedicated follower of Bermuda, then you can pay either with a Bermuda dollar with a picture of the Queen or a US dollar with a picture of a president. They're worth exactly the same. And if after an arduous afternoon of shopping along Front Street, you've still got $10 left, well, that entitles you to one speciality drink.
Good evening, sir. How you doing?
I've been told that I have to come and order a swizzle, but I don't know what's in it.
I'll tell you exactly what's in it. Well, here I have a shaker right here, and I'll put a black rum, an amber rum, a little bit of this infused rum, so it's pineapple, orange infused. Put a little pineapple, a little orange juice in here.
Yeah.
A little bit of grenadine. And a little bit of bitters. Just like 2 shakes of it. Here you are, sir. Enjoy your swizzle.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Goodness. Crikey. Tell you what, here's a slogan. In drizzle, don't fizzle. This'll make you whizzle. Sip a swizzle. Is that a haiku? And to continue my cocktail research, I've come here to Elbow Beach, which is the longest stretch of sand close to the capital, Hamilton. It's on the south shore. And as I sip my Bermuda Triangle, which has 3 different kinds of rum in it, and nibble at my Bermuda sushi, I can look out across the Atlantic, crashing against the coral reef. This is a location almost musical in its perfection. Excuse me. The Sea Breeze is one of many Bermudian shoreline restaurants offering a view on a plate and delivering fabulous flavours as well. For my second day in Bermuda, I'm going to explore beyond the capital, Hamilton. Now, it's impossible to rent a car in Bermuda, so you need 2 wheels. Bermuda is full of tradition, including the daily rush hour ritual performed by Johnny Barnes, a retired engineer who today stands by the nation's main roundabout each morning to bless the passing traffic.
Have a lovely day, my friend. I love you.
You've heard of the Trans-Siberian Railway? Well, Bermuda had one of those in the early 20th century for about 17 years. It was a financial disaster, but today this 21-mile track from one end of Bermuda to the other is perfect for hiking and biking. Bike, Bermuda, botany. I'm at the gardens.
Welcome to the Bermuda Botanical Gardens.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Burgess.
I'm Simon Calder. What a pleasure. Show me the highlights.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Show you around.
What I love about Bermuda's botanical gardens is that even though you're pretty much in the middle of a well-populated nation, you feel that you're a million miles away from modern life. And I'm not the only one who's felt at one with nature here. If you've been wandering through these gardens in the summer of 1980, you might have met a man of almost 40 and his young son. He was John Lennon, who sailed to Bermuda that summer and found that the writer's block that had plagued him for the past 5 years was suddenly lifted. He wrote his final album here, and it was called, Steve?
Double Fantasy, named after a very small iris-like flower called the freesia. He saw the label, Double Fantasy, and behold, he named it after a lovely Bermuda flower, the freesia. And we're so proud to have the connection between John Lennon and the Botanical Gardens.
And of course, 2 weeks after Double Fantasy was released, he died in New York City.
Yeah, very sad. Now, interestingly enough, John Lennon and I share the same birthday, October 9th.
As does his son, Sean. Imagine.
Okay, who would knew? Thanks again.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay.
Now I'm off to the museum. It's just over there. After the horticulture, there's plenty of culture in the shape of Masterworks, the Museum of Bermuda Art, which has just celebrated a quarter century of championing the nation's heritage and creativity. Along with City Hall and St George's, I reckon that Masterworks is a corner of Bermuda's cultural triangle. The end of the line is where Bermuda began, the town of St George's, the oldest continuously occupied English town in the Western Hemisphere. And if you've worked up an appetite, there's plenty of choice. This is my favourite place to eat, Wahoo's, where the name is the signature dish. Another meal, a lovely location by the water, or if you're a fish, home. This place celebrates game fish. Wahoo nugget, wahoo pate, wahoo taco. And for a main course, well, as in any good seafood restaurant, ask the chef. And Alfred said, I've just cut up some rockfish, absolutely straight off the boat. If you want to see the rest of the menu, just look up Wahoo Bermuda on Yahoo. It works, honest. UNESCO doesn't award World Heritage status lightly. St George's is a representative on the Global Register of Cultural Treasures. Don't miss the replica of the Deliverance, the ship built to carry survivors of the Sea Venture shipwreck to their intended destination of Virginia. I don't spend much time in perfumeries, but I've made an exception here at Stuart Hall. It's an amazing building, as well as being the home of Lily Bermuda, which is the brand created by Isabel. If you could bottle Bermuda, what would it smell like?
Well, every month in Bermuda smells different. So it's hard to bottle just one thing, but this is coral, and coral is a beautiful freesia with a bit of rose. It's our most popular scent, and it smells like spring.
That's exquisite. Heaven sent.
Great, I'm glad you like it.
If you've a nose for spiritual history, then after you've explored the lovely gardens of the perfumery, the oldest Anglican church outside the British Isles is just over there. A remarkable church, but I think there's another one which is even more unusual. This, you may not be amazed to learn, is the unfinished church. In 1874, the townspeople decided to build a new church, but an unholy series of misfortunes took place. And by 1926, when it still wasn't finished, a hurricane demolished a lot of the work. Add in nearly a century of decay, and this is what you get. Strangely beautiful. Now a national monument, the walls still remain, although the roof is notable only by its absence. Perhaps one day, as with Gaudi's Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, they'll decide to finish this place. If so, they'll need one of these. You don't have to have a bicycle because Bermuda has a formidably good public transport system. Besides the pink buses, there is the fleet of excellent Sea Express ferries which zip around from A to B, saving time and giving you an aquatic adventure as well as a bit of public transport. Very cheap too.
From here across to the Royal Naval Dockyard costs just $4, or you can buy an all-day pass for $12. And guess where I'm going? My destination is the Royal Naval Dockyard, where the history of Bermuda is set in stone. And this is a great way of taking a coastal cruise while getting from A to B. This is a fantastic voyage. We're just going across the Great Sound. And talking of great sounds, for a century and a half, this was the biggest Royal Naval Dockyard outside Britain. After it closed, well, what do you do with it? Turn it into a tourist attraction with shops, a pottery, a glassworks, loads of restaurants, and the National Museum of Bermuda inside the Commissioner's House. Within the vast 19th century dockyard keep, this fine building has been transformed into the story of a land that keeps reinventing itself. Elena Strong is the museum curator.
Well, back in the 1500s, Bermuda was a navigation landmark for Spanish gold fleets crossing the Atlantic to the New World. So it was strategic back then for navigation. But then in the 1800s, the British took over the Royal Navy Dockyard, purchased part of land of Bermuda, and it was a perfect place because after the American War of Independence, Britain was left without a naval base in the Americas, and there was nowhere to protect that precious trade route between the West Indies and Canada. And Bermuda, this little speck in the Atlantic, was the perfect place to have a naval base, but also an operating dockyard to careen the ships and to resupply all the Royal Navy fleet.
Bermuda is something of an accidental nation. It was founded by people who were shipwrecked. And would you believe there's an official keeper of wrecks for Bermuda? And he's over there, Philippe Rouger. Permission to come aboard.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to see you, Philippe. Very good, thank you. Oh, this is fantastic. Philippe, is it true to say that Bermuda is a nation created from shipwrecks?
Absolutely. Every single one of the early settlers arrived here on a shipwreck, just about. There was literally nobody that came here voluntarily. They came here via shipwreck.
And meanwhile, we've got behind us one of your many wrecks.
Right.
But this one was sunk deliberately.
Yes, a lot of the ones that you see in Bermuda closer to shore, and there are a lot of them, were put there deliberately. Many of them is sort of like a breaker's yard, so you would bring a ship in, you'd sink it in a bay, and you'd slowly take the pieces off that you needed and so on. And then, because we're an island, we sort of have to be very sort of, we have to make use of the things we can get. And so shipwrecks are one of those great things. We salvage them all the time. And so we would push these shipwrecks ashore and take the pieces that we wanted. This shipwreck in particular, the Vixen, was put there deliberately because there's a small channel here coming. It's the only channel in from the west. And it was put there to block this channel because there was some fear in the late 1800s that we were going to get invaded somehow, or someone was going to push in a torpedo barge or something like that. And so she sank there, and she did a pretty good job of blocking the channel, I could tell you, because she's still there today.
The mark of a great destination is somewhere that leaves you wanting more time to indulge and explore and immerse yourself. Bermuda might be a tiny dot in a vast ocean, a very long way from home, but the country's people, heritage and way of life make this the most splendid isolation. It would of course be ridiculous to come to Bermuda without going out onto the water. And you may well be thinking, old dog, new trick. Let's go paddleboarding and see who's right.